Hey everybody, it is Virtue here, and I am ready to do another wrestling video. And this time, this topic, it's one of those where I want to get it on all the sites. It will be on the Big Vito brand first, bigvito.com, and I will also end up putting it on nodq.com and wrestlingwithwrestling.com. So let's get started. I am Virtue here. This is Virtue's brand of wrestling for bigvito.com, and I want to talk about Daniel Bryan. And the reason why I want to talk about Daniel Bryan is because I've been noticing some things since he's been back from his retirement from the concussion problem. And I'm trying to figure out if it's creative booking or him. And what it is I've noticed, I'm comparing it to his run for WrestleMania 30, and then also when he came back from an injury, and he had a run at WrestleMania 31 where he won a ladder match in the Intercontinental Championship. Everybody knows WrestleMania 30, he had a program around the Royal Rumble with Bray Wyatt. He was part of the Wyatt family. They ended up the course correction because of Batista winning the Royal Rumble, getting all that backlash. They ended up pushing Daniel Bryan to the main event at WrestleMania 30, where he wrestled Triple H to get to the main event. So he won that match in the opener at Mania, and then he went on to face Randy Orton and Batista in a triple threat to win the championship. Now, that was all fine and dandy. It was the Yes Movement. He had some injuries, didn't hold the title very long, was given the B-plus moniker, how funny, by Stephanie McMahon on camera. Came back from those injuries, had a run at WrestleMania 31 by winning the ladder match and becoming the Intercontinental Champion. And it seemed like, okay, Daniel Bryan's working his way back. Good. Everything's fine and dandy. However, the concussions, the injuries, he then had to retire. Okay. So let me get some more plugs out of the way before I continue. So again, I am Virtue. I'm featuring this first on bigvito.com and the Big Vito brand as Virtue's brand of wrestling, but I also want to post this on nodq.com as Virtue's Rage and wrestlingwithwrestling.com as my Wrestling with Virtue segment. So, Noel, thank you. I'm not going to plug any stuff in a commercial for you, but that's why I did it in this video. When I've been watching Daniel Bryan recently, it just seems like he's going through the motions. Now, I get it. You come back from the concussions. You didn't know if you were going to wrestle again. You had 2 years off. You come back. You got to take it easy. But I'm not buying that taking it easy part because I've seen him take some bumps on the head. I've seen him do a diving headbutt and clang heads with, I believe, Shelton Benjamin. I have seen Daniel Bryan put it all out there in certain spots, which leads me to believe he's not hesitant because of the injury, right? He's going out there thinking he's going to perform at full capacity, but I think overall he is not. Now, I don't know if he's being directed by management to be this way, but I just don't see Daniel Bryan like I did before. It is watered down. It is, and I'm not going to blame creative this time. Nope. I'm not going to blame creative because at first it was Big Cass. What are you, really? Big Cass? But he got the program with The Miz. To me, The Miz is a bona fide star. You can call him a mid-carder, whatever. I don't care, but it's The Miz. He's on in movies, even if they're straight to DVD and Redbox, he's still in them. So therefore, Daniel Bryan versus The Miz was a great potential feud, right? And they let Miz actually get some heat in the first couple of matches, even though one of them was an intergender or the mixed tag match with Brie and Daniel Bryan versus Maurice and Miz. But The Miz got some heat, and then all of a sudden, The Miz loses in minutes at Super Showdown, and Daniel Bryan wins with a small package to get a WWE title shot against AJ Styles. This, to me, screams something is going on here. Again, Why, if Daniel Bryan is such a big star from WrestleMania 30, and he came back, and him coming back from retirement is a huge story. Why is he not even the main event on SmackDown? Now, granted, he is going to face AJ Styles now for the WWE title, but AJ Styles has been in the mid card for the last 8 months on SmackDown as the WWE champion. SmackDown's getting sections tarped off, and these guys are the headliners with Nakamura and Joe. I just feel Daniel Bryan's heart is not in being in a WWE ring. And I'm seeing it when I see him perform. There's a couple times he goes all out. Granted, you get worried about him. You see some spots where he maybe clangs his head and you're like, oh, you cringe. But I see a lot of watered down spots. And the fact that he bickers with the Miz on the promo saying, Miz, you're boring. You can't wrestle. Because, Miz's style is to work safe. Nothing flashy. He's all about his character, just like it should be. All about the promo. So the Miz isn't going to go out there and flip and fly and dive for you. But I still I'm entertained by his matches. But Daniel Bryan says on screen, well, the Miz, that's what you don't wrestle. You can't really wrestle. You don't even know what a small package is versus a roll-up. Then Daniel Bryan should go all out, and I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. And the reason why I'm putting this video out there now is because I want Daniel Bryan fans to come at me and say I'm off base. But more importantly, get behind your man. Start going to SmackDown so those tarp sections come down. Start chanting yes louder. Make WWE push Daniel Bryan where he would actually beat AJ Styles and actually have a great match 20-25 minutes with AJ Styles instead of just being another going through the motions match, which I believe ever since Daniel Bryan has been back, every match he's been in has been going through the motions. And I'm looking at it, and I don't blame the other guy. I blame Daniel Bryan. It just seems like Daniel Bryan doesn't want to be in a WWE ring, to me, from my observation. And, of course, I'm going back to the WrestleMania 30 and 31 runs that he had. Maybe that's unfair because he was pushed to title belts. But I'm just saying something is off with Daniel Bryan. Maybe there's, ring rust and he just wanted to slowly, gradually get rid of it. But, I can't, why is his matches against The Miz being in the circle jerk spot before main events to where if time goes over, they're cut short? Right? Daniel Bryan's match was cut short? A match where the winner gets a WWE title shot? Maybe management sees that too. Now, granted, Daniel Bryan has a WWE contract, so the money talks and he's staying there. So therefore, it's not like he's leaving the company and going to New Japan or Ring of Honor where he can do his type of stuff. So it's almost like, did Daniel Bryan sell out to stay in WWE? Now, we're hearing all kinds of rumors. Is Cody Rhodes, did he lose the IWGP US title and the NWA heavy, the 10 pounds of gold? Is he coming back to WWE? You know what? In the end, they all want to be in WWE because of the consistent, constant paycheck. Granted, in the indies, there are some guys that can make a lot of money, but they got to work extra hard at it because you don't have the WWE backing you. You don't get that WrestleMania payday and this and that and the extra merch sales. Now, granted, Young Bucks, supposedly Cody Rhodes have been doing well, but it's still a harder work to do that than being in WWE and being towards the top. If Cody Rhodes ends up back in WWE, wow, I'm going to chuckle about that one. But I just think Daniel Bryan, since he's been back, I'll give a little bit blame to creative to where they're not making a big deal out of him. It's almost like Stephanie McMahon and the McMahons, when they used to call him the B-plus player, they really thought that. They really thought, this guy's not going to sell house shows. This guy might sell some yes T-shirts, some foam fingers, but in the end, he's going to get hurt, or he's just not going to be that larger-than-life guy that we want down the toy aisle, like Roman Reigns. But I'm watching Daniel Bryan, and, they always say, Vito has said this, you make the most of what they give you. They once made Vito wear a dress. He got it over, right? It was a comedy goof gimmick. We've seen the stuff with Santino Marella, but the fact is Vito was on TV for, 8 months, 7 months, doing that, flipping the dress up, showing his tights underneath. Got it over as a comedy act, so to speak. You make the most of what you're given. Daniel Bryan has perfect opportunity. I mean, he's been, wrestling The Miz. Now he's going to wrestle AJ Styles. I just don't see him making the most of it. I just don't see that same explosiveness. And again, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Ring rust slowly working itself off. Maybe he's told to work safe where he can't be, he can just do certain things here and there. I don't know. But, I mean, you're supposed to politic your way. You're supposed to fight your way to the main event. And Daniel Bryan should be outraged that he was in Australia and he only had a 3-minute match, even though he went over. Especially a guy like him who's always going to say, hey, I'm about the wrestling match. I don't, even if I win a title opportunity, I don't want to just go out there and have an entrance in a 3-minute match. I want to go out there and work a 15 or 20-minute psychological match for the fans. This is what I like to do. Hold after hold, reversal, this and that. I don't think Daniel Bryan is in the politic game. It's almost like he's just happy to be there with Brie now that she's back, and they're both working for the biggest wrestling company in the world, making money, going through the motions, supporting their family, which as a job, that's great. But the passion that supposedly Daniel Bryan and Daniel Bryan's fans say he has, I am not seeing it. I would have been more impressed if he didn't sign a renewal to WWE and went to the Indies, at least for like Cody Rhodes, and he could come back, but at least did his run on the Indies to get his wrestling fix in again. But no, he stayed in WWE. He's going to be there for who knows how long, and he's going through the motions. Now, again, I'm putting this video out there now because even if nobody watches it, if him and AJ have a classic match and Bryan goes over, or, who knows what's going to happen about that, or the match is actually one I can say, wow, that was good, then I can say, hey, somebody's listening. But I am doubtful. I am skeptical. I am cynical that Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles will have this great match. Now, kicker, supposedly rumors that some of these wrestlers don't want to go to Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel, and Daniel Bryan is right at the top of the list of not wanting to go, right? I mean, granted, whatever happened with that murder, it's going to come out. But they're not going to murder wrestlers. It's going to be just as safe as it was the last time the crew was there. You'll be able to go in, get out, perform. Professionals do that. You've been to Tribute to the Troops. I don't know if Daniel Bryan is, but the wrestlers used to go over to Iraq. Tribute to the Troops over that way. Kuwait, that area. You want to talk, that's a hostile environment. So, again, there's no excuses. If Daniel Bryan doesn't want to go over there, he's wrestling AJ in a big match, but he wants to be one of those vocal wrestlers that says, well, we're not going to go over there and go through with this deal. We're afraid. Is it more than just being afraid, or is it not wanting to go through the match because maybe he doesn't think he can deliver with AJ and he wants more time? Maybe he's not ready yet. Maybe he should have not just jumped right back like he did. Maybe he should have went and trained in NXT behind the scenes for a while, worked dark matches with people, did that for the rest of the year. Did WWE pressure Daniel Bryan to come back too soon on TV as an active competitor, or did he want to do that? If he wanted to do that, again, when I watch him, I have not been impressed by any of his matches, and I'm not blaming the other guy. Daniel Bryan is supposed to be that guy in the ring that's awesome, right? That's the wrestler of all wrestlers. He should be able to go in there and make any match compelling and captivating, no matter who it's against, Big Cass, The Miz, whatever, and deliver that story and make it look like it was a great match. If we're underwhelmed by Daniel Bryan matches, I'm going to put that on Daniel Bryan every time. And again, there's a lot of factors. You could say creative is holding him back and giving him the curtain jerk spot with the 3-minute matches, putting him, in there against guys that are in a style. When there's plenty of guys on the roster like Nakamura, like AJ Styles. And again, we're going to see that. But something about Daniel Bryan since he's been back from retirement, I'm just not buying. And can he get there? Can he get back to WrestleMania 30, WrestleMania 31 Daniel Bryan? Yeah, I think so. But I just feel like maybe he's just now realizing, you know what? I'm a wrestler and I do this for a job. Me and my wife are making an income to support our family. I guess I'm not going to go out there and kill myself. Now, the problem is with Daniel Bryan, that's his gimmick. If you're going to come out there and preach wrestler, especially in promos against The Miz, but you're going to tone it down and wrestle like The Miz and not really do all your stuff and make people like me criticize you, saying, I think you're not giving 100% Daniel Bryan to the audience, then I'm not buying it. Like, if do some type of gimmick then, right? Tell Vince, I want to turn heel. I want to turn heel and not give the fans what they want because I want to work safe. I want to protect me. I want to protect my family. I would be fine with that, but he's coming. They're still bringing him out as the underdog. Yes, yes, yes. Daniel Bryan saying he's a wrestler, saying Miz can't wrestle, calling out names of moves, you know, and belittling the Miz for calling a move a wrong name. And yet Daniel Bryan, to me, isn't being a wrestler. And again, we don't know. We don't know all of it. This is all fan speculation. It's all observation from watching the TV product. But we got to see one of the greatest runs in wrestling history with Daniel Bryan back when he had that great match with Bray Wyatt at Royal Rumble. And then he went on, had just all kinds of good matches leading into WrestleMania 30, and then Triple H and then Batista and Orton. But the small guy got hurt. The reckless style caught up with him. And I'm not saying Daniel Bryan should go out there and kill himself to give us. But if you're going to portray that wrestler character, I'm not seeing it, right? And maybe this match with AJ, if it happens, will be that time where finally the old Daniel Bryan's back, right? That's why I wanted to talk about this now, because then when this match happens, I've already told all of you what I'm observing and what I feel. If the match delivers, I'll say, great. I'm glad I ranted about it because it happened. What I wanted to happen with him and AJ happened. They had that match, that classic. But if it just looks like another dud, and fans are saying, you know how many fans have said AJ Styles matches have been underwhelming the past year? And I'm hearing the same thing for Daniel Bryan. So is that their way of saying, well, it's WWE not allowing them to do what they should do, like New Japan, Wrestle Kingdom? Or are these guys wrestling safer just to collect a check, just to do what WWE wants them to do, not go overboard, no need to steal the show, because they got to work the next night and so many more nights during a year, more than any other federation? WWE workers work the most. But like I said, my problem with DB is the fact that he's coming out as and spitting promos as, I'm the wrestler. I'm the yes, and that Daniel Bryan, but yet I'm not seeing it in matches, right? Somebody once said, I've heard this from Vince Russo, that Bret Hart, if he knew he was going to win, he would say he's going to win in his promos leading up to that match. Because after he got that win at the big pay-per-view, it would make him look credible and confident. If he knew he was going to lose, he never said in those promos leading up to it, I'm going to win. Bret protected his character. Daniel Bryan, if you should go to the management and say, I want to be a heel, because then I don't have to give the fans the wrestling match. And I can say, I'm just, start cheating to win, do that kind of stuff. That would be more compelling than coming out and saying, oh, I'm a wrestler. Miz, you can't wrestle. You don't even know the difference between a roll-up and a small package. And then when I watch Daniel Bryan perform week in and week out on SmackDown or at these pay-per-views or WWE Network events, and I'm not seeing that same Daniel Bryan that he's saying he is a wrestler, I'm calling it out. And again, I'm not going to fully blame creative, because you can make the most of your character. You can go out there within the parameters of what they give you and still try to get it over. And all I see out of Daniel Bryan is anytime he tries to do something, it seems like it goes wrong. He headbutted Shelton Benjamin or whatever, this and that, getting banged up. Might as well go all out, bro. You might as well. If you're going to have 7 minutes on SmackDown, or you're going to wrestle AJ 18 minutes at Crown Jewel, you might as well go all out and give the fans exactly what they want. And if you think you are doing it, I'm not seeing it. I'm not. I'm seeing a board. I had somebody of mine that's on the outside bubble of being an all-time wrestling fan, liked it during the Attitude Era. Good old Dirty Dave. Started watching wrestling again, in the last 6 months, 8 months, a year. Was watching SmackDown. He records him on DVR, and when he sees Daniel Bryan, he's like, Daniel Bryan is just a generic underdog. Nothing special about him. And this is a more of a casual than a diehard. Maybe he's becoming a diehard. Think about that. Why is SmackDown tarped off more than Raw? I don't even think Raw is really tarped off. Daniel Bryan's one of the big stars on SmackDown. AJ Styles. Again, we can blame WWE management to a point. They don't make AJ the main event. But you got to hold the performers at some point liable. When I see Roman Reigns and everyone, people are like, well, he mails it in or whatnot. Prove it. Prove it where Roman mails it in. I don't see that. He still gets your reactions. If Daniel Bryan might not mail it in all the time, but I swear to God, I never saw this guy mail a thing in his life. And now, since he's been back out of retirement, I'm sitting here wondering. I'm wondering if he's doing it. That says a lot. Like, you shouldn't ever wonder about Daniel Bryan going through motions, right? And again, I don't have a problem with that because wrestlers are supposed to be able to protect themselves, not really get hurt, and do it in the next town. Collect a check. It's a job. Support their family. So from that aspect, I'm not complaining, but I keep bringing up the fact that Daniel Bryan is presenting his character as a wrestler, and he's just coming across like his heart's not all in there, and it's almost coming across boring, and I think it's rubbing off on the fans. I think some fans are getting bored with Daniel Bryan. I really am. Because if he had this yes movement, SmackDown would sell more tickets. His T-shirt sales would be ridiculous. The yes chants would be echoing and deafening like they used to be. And I just don't notice that. So and especially with Bryan coming back from a 2-year retirement where we didn't know if he was going to wrestle again, why aren't the people flocking back to Daniel Bryan as much as they, there are to a point, but, and if they say, well, we don't like what we've been given out of him, he's wrestled The Miz. The Miz and him was supposed to be a hot feud. The Miz did everything on his part and compelled me with the promos. Daniel Bryan's side of that feud kind of bored me. And look, I like Daniel Bryan. I loved when he got mixed up with the Wyatts. I was hoping that was going to go farther. Unfortunately, course correction. Thanks, Batista. Daniel Bryan got catapulted to the main event, and they broke him away from the Wyatts. I like Daniel Bryan's work with AJ Lee and CM Punk. Kane, the original Hell No run. I've liked Daniel Bryan over the years. But I'm going to be extra critical about him because he could be a bigger attraction, and they could make him a bigger deal to try to sell seats, but maybe he seems watered down because SmackDown's tarping off, 33% of the building, and he maybe thinks he should be on Raw. So why give it my all in these feuds on SmackDown? Raw's drawing twice as many people in attendance, that is. So I don't know. To me, I wanted to get this rant out there on Daniel Bryan because I think he should own his character and give us exactly what the Daniel Bryan American Dragon is supposed to be. And if you're going to say it, if you're going to sing it like The Rock says, bring it. And I've just been kind of bored with Daniel Bryan since he's been back. We can put percentage of blame on different things, but ultimately, he's given enough TV time. He's put in these feuds where, there's mic work to be done leading into the match. So therefore, I put the focus of the spotlight on him for not compelling me, and it could be a whole hell of a lot better. And I guess we'll see what happens. Will he go to Crown Jewel? Will he wrestle AJ Styles? What's going to happen with Daniel Bryan? So thank you for listening. If you want to continue this conversation with me about Daniel Bryan, if the trolls want to come at me and tell me I'm full of shit, at NoDQ_virtue on Twitter. You can go to my Facebook, nodq.com/virtue. That's lowercase v in virtue. But I'm just glad to be getting this out. I'm going to put this on the Big Vito brand on bigvito.com first. As Virtue's brand of wrestling, it will also land on nodq.com under Virtue's Rage. And it will also land on wrestlingwithwrestling.com as Wrestling with Virtue. So I'm not going to do a movie of the week this week, although I did see Halloween. I did like it better than a few other Halloween movies. I believe this one was the 11th, number 11 out of all the different Halloween movies. I probably liked it about by maybe 3 more. I liked it better than 3 other Halloween movies, but there were a lot of the other Halloween movies that I liked better than this new one. So it is what it is. I did not hate it. I mean, the worst Halloween movie is something I still enjoy because of the genre. So also, since it's Halloween time, if you haven't checked out The Church yet, if you have any AMC theaters, if it's still playing, Big Vito's in The Church. You might have to wait till it's out on DVD. It's very low budget, very indie style, hokey spirit movie. But you know what? It's worth a watch because our friend Big Vito is in the movie. But that's it. I will be back again in the future. You know where to catch me on all my channels. So I appreciate you listening. Thank you. I am Virtue, and I will see you next time. Thank you.
This presentation is brought to you by the Big Vito brand. You can check us out at bigvito.com or harlowinc.com.